Welcome to Excel Boats on the X Podcast, powered by Mud Buddy Motors.
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
The only podcast to bring you insights on the world of hunting, fishing, and boating. With your host, J. Paul Jackson.
You don't say much, do you?
Now, load up and sight in. This is On the X.
Welcome to the Excel Boats on the X Podcast, powered by Mud Buddy Motors. I'm J. Paul Jackson, and today I'm joined by Keith from our home office, also known as Kevin. But Keith from our home office, one of our main problem solvers, is back on here with me today. And also, we have returning a previous guest, had a blast the last time that we had him on the podcast. We have Ryan Neeley from CampChef back here with us today. Keith, Ryan, great to be here with you guys today. How y'all doing?
I'm doing great. I'm glad to be on.
Yeah. Now, y'all are both in Salt Lake. Ryan, what's the weather like there today?
You know, I'm actually 80 miles north of Salt Lake, and it is. I love spring. It's just, you know, we've been in just the nasty. You know, the tail end of winter just gets bad. Stuff starts closing down. You know, there's not a lot of hunting going on. But right now, it is nice. Spring day. It's the kind of day that you see the turkeys just, you know, strutting under those big willows that make you go, oh, yeah. It's
Heck yeah.
So,
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's a good day.
Keith, what's it like down in West Jordan today?
Yeah, a little cloudy, and we got rain coming up really hard all afternoon. So, yeah, I mean, it's okay. It's typical Utah. You don't know whether to dress for winter or for summer, or you have to change the clothes of both in the car, depending on the time of the day. But,
I'm only 80 miles north, so that rain I think is coming my way.
Well, good. I hope it dumps on you more than here. It'll probably be snow up where you're at, bro.
We had that on Monday.
Yeah.
You had snow on Monday?
Well, Utah. I mean, it's like weather anywhere. The one thing you can count on weather is it's unpredictable.
Yes.
No doubt. And, man, I'll tell you what, I should have been – and I'm about to say this, and it's kind of mean because I just left my veterinarian's office, you know, and he just watched him save one of our dogs right before my eyes. So this doesn't apply to all of them, but I've always thought I should have been a weatherman or a veterinarian, because all you've got to do is look good and sound like you know what you're talking about, you know.
Yeah.
And, of course, with the veterinarians, it's because their patients can't tell them what's wrong. But, you know, so all the vets out there, I have tremendous respect for you guys. But, you know, sometimes it seems like you're talking to a weather forecaster. They never get it right. Although today it is 82, sunshine, gentle breeze here in Northwest Tennessee. It is gorgeous.
Now that sounds like a day to get cooking on the patio.
There you
Brother, hey, I got my 3-burner. I've got my 3-burner and my grill box that I brought out yesterday. Moved it from the garage around to the patio, and I am going to be grilling fish on the CampChef tonight. And that's no bull. I really am. Awesome.
That's good. I love cooking out. I mean, I do year round, you know, I guess it's part of my life, but yeah, it's you know, there's just something nice when you can just kick back, relax, and hang out by the grill with a drink. It's fun.
Yeah, I intend to do that this evening. I got to get a pellet grill also. I don't have a pellet grill, but man, the thing I love about your grill box is on that 3-burner, you know, it only takes up 2 burners, so it leaves me an extra one where I can, you know, tonight I'll be probably sauteing some vegetables to go along with this grilled fish, and I'm going to grill some asparagus. And your grill box, man, it just gives such great flavor to anything that you cook on that grill.
Yeah, that grill box it's a, you know, cast iron grates, and the stoves put out so much heat. The cool thing about the stove system that you talk about, J. Paul, is how versatile it is. You know, and you can just, wherever you want to go, whatever you want to eat, you can take it and grab it with you and go. But not only that, there's all those cool accessories that you can put on it. You know, if you're doing fish tonight, you could get one of those. We have a stone oven that goes on. Cooks like a brick oven or a wood-fired pizza oven.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you throw that fish on a cedar plank. Like, get a cedar plank, soak it in water for about 30 minutes or so, and then you can either put it on the grill or in a really high heat oven like the one I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And that, put some lemon on there. That cedar flavor, the wood flavor, gets into the fish, and it just tastes so good. That's one of my favorite things to do.
I don't have the pizza oven. I got to get hooked up with you and get one of those to go on top of this. You talk about taking it anywhere. So the reason it was in my garage and I moved it around to my patio is because just last week we had a really unseasonably cool night, and we had a doubleheader at the softball park. And so I took my 3-burner out to the ballpark with me, and I also took my grill box, and I made a pot of gumbo during the first ball game, and we grilled duck in the grill box, and we had a duck gumbo along with grilled duck right there at the ballpark. And the people in the concession stands got mad at me because everybody was coming outside to get a bowl of my gumbo and a piece of that duck instead of buying hamburgers and hot dogs.
And that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about right there is, taking that stuff with you. It's, it's not always about, it just elevates any outdoor experience, like you're saying, softball or sitting in the duck blind. I mean, we've all been there on days in the duck blind when it's cold and wet or whatever, and nothing's flying, and you're just sitting there freezing your butt off, hoping a mallard flies by. But you have a grill there, you got some food there that's it's a lot of fun, and it was awesome. It just makes that experience more enjoyable. Whether you limit out in 30 minutes or, you only shoot one, you only pull the trigger once during the day. It just makes that outdoor experience so much better. No doubt.
Outdoor experience. Speaking of, the last time we were on here, Keith gave me a great recipe for kind of a mountain man breakfast. And I want you to know, Keith, that the next time we went out hunting, I went down to the blind. I wanted to do a Facebook Live of this also, Ryan, but unfortunately I found out that when you're in a concrete pit in the Boot Hill of Missouri, you do not have any cell service for doing any kind of live broadcast. But I took my cast iron Dutch oven that you sent me, and the ducks weren't really flying that great. It was drizzling rain for a little while. We knew the sun was going to come out and they were going to pick up. So while we were waiting on that, man, we had an unbelievable breakfast. And Keith, that recipe that you gave me was off the hook.
And I like it, J. Paul, because it's just simple. It's easy. I did it. What day did I do it? Oh, I did it last Friday for the shop. They're all like, hey, we haven't had breakfast in a while. So I went to Candace, got a couple bucks, and we ate really, really good last week out of our cast iron skillets and Dutch ovens for a Mountain Man breakfast. I like it because it's just simple. Throw it in the pan, cover it, heat it, and you're good to go.
Yeah, the only thing that I deviated a little bit because I had my big CampChef cast iron skillet there also. So I actually, to get them really, really good and brown, I browned my hash browns in the cast iron skillet and then transferred them over to the Dutch oven. Okay. But man, I took a little bit of the grease from the sausage and browned them in that a little bit too, and man, they were good. That was just phenomenal. And cast iron cooking is the way to go anyway. But go ahead, Ryan.
I was just gonna say, cast iron really is. If you're, take a look at whatever you've got in your kitchen, and if you don't have a cast iron pan and a Dutch oven, cast iron Dutch oven, you've got to get one. Those are two things that you always want to have to cook with. For searing, you can pull it from the oven to the stovetop, beat it up, take it to camp. There's something about how the way that it cooks, it sears really, really well. Cast iron is one of the best cooking materials that's out there. I think that's why, they've been using cast iron for, hundreds of years. And, it's still today one of the best cooking materials you have. So it's just so good. I love using mine. I use it. I got several different cast iron pans and I use them all the time.
I use it for cooking fish and stuff too. And if you talk about searing, the other night I did a seared tuna, and we had some really nice wild caught tuna fillets that a buddy of mine had sent to me, and and I took them, and I really like that sushi grade, sashimi grade tuna when it's just cooked on the outside and the outside only, and it's still just raw in the middle. I mean, it's sushi. It's you can eat it that way just fine, but for grilling, it's okay. Grilling the fish like that, it's tough to not overcook it. But with that cast iron skillet, you get the skillet really, really hot, and you get just a little bit of oil, like a grapeseed or something that has a very high burn point, but doesn't impart a lot of taste to the meat. And you can slap that on there, and just for 15 seconds on each side, and take your tongs and roll it around the edges to hit the edge of it, and boom, it's ready to go.
Oh, that sounds awesome. I love, a good, seared tuna is great. I love that. And, you talk about searing tuna and getting that on the outside but raw on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I wouldn't do raw, but, when talking about wild game, and we've talked about this before, but
got to be cool in the center.
Especially waterfowl, as soon as you overcook, I've heard people say, "Oh, that tastes like a muddy ditch." It's because you overcooked it.
Amen.
Yeah. If you cook that to a medium rare, you could grab a thermometer, cook it to 125 degrees, and that will be delicious. Whether you smoke it in a cast iron pan, any ways you do that. But earlier you mentioned a pellet grill. Throw it on your pellet grill. There's a thermometer there, and watch that temperature. And when it hits around a rare, medium rare, pull it off. You can slice that up and eat it. There's a million different ways you can do that. And we can get a little more specific later, but I think there's so many different options there, especially with wild game. Don't overcook your meat.
Amen. Hey, I've got a question for you, Ryan.
Yeah.
So the other day, I was at a buddy's duck camp, and we went by to do a little bit of spring cleaning and stuff. And outside in their garage, there's this big old cast iron skillet, and it's rusted up pretty dang good. And he was fixing to pitch it. And I'm like, no, do not pitch that thing. He's like, it's ruined. I said, oh, heck no, it is definitely not ruined. And I picked it up. Well, he said, well, here, you can have it. I ain't going to mess with it. So I took it home, and I've got it there in my garage. And this weekend, one of my weekend projects is going to be to reclaim and re-season that old cast iron skillet. If you've got a piece of cast iron like that has been neglected, and luckily for this one, there's not a lot of caked on to it. It's just more rusted and no longer properly seasoned. How do you revitalize that piece of cast iron? Do you have a good recipe for doing that?
There's a lot of ways. There's a lot of different ways you can do it. I'm going to suggest two really quick.
Sure.
If the rust isn't bad, if it's okay, if you're at a garage sale or something and you see an old piece of cast iron, grab it, and you can bring that back to life easily. So if the rust isn't bad, if it's an okay condition but it does need some love, this is going to sound odd, but grab a can of Coca-Cola and soak the skillet in, or the cast iron Dutch oven, whatever it is. Soak it in Coca-Cola. Do that for a few hours, and then you should be able to just get like a steel wool or an abrasive brush and get all that off. And then once you do that, we have a CampChef, or CampChef makes a why can't I think of the name right now?
Conditioner?
A conditioner, yeah, a cast iron conditioner. Or you can use an olive oil. The cast iron conditioner is going to do a better job, but you can pull just an olive oil or something from the
canola oil.
Yeah, that'll work. A more high temp oil is probably going to be better, but anyway, wipe it down with that and put it in the oven and bake it, for a while at like 400 degrees. the other method, what I would recommend, if it's really rusty, if it's heavily damaged, the other thing you can do is get a grinder. This is going to sound crazy, but just put a soft brush on the end of that grinder, or get again steel wool or a steel brush, and just give it some elbow grease and scrub that hard and get all that rust off of there. Again, this is going to depend on how bad of condition it is. And if you have the tools necessary, you can honestly do this in less than 5 minutes. So once you do that, get all the rust clean, then what you'll want to do is, heat up your cast iron piece. You can do this over the stovetop, in the oven. You can do this outside on the grill. I would recommend doing it outside because it's going to get smoky. So if you're in the house, open up the windows. And then once you heat that up, pull it out of the oven, get some rubber gloves or use hot pads or something, pull it out, and then just get that cast iron conditioner, throw it on a rag, and completely coat the cast iron or skillet with cast iron conditioner. You can pick this up from CampChef, but coat it all with that, and then put it back in the oven. And I didn't know this. This was interesting to me, but things expand and contract with heat,
Sure.
whether they're hot or cold. And as cast iron expands, it's actually porous, and so that oil will go into those pores and kind of fill that in. So that's the reason you need to heat that up. And then
I never knew that.
I didn't know that either, but it made a lot of sense. I'm like, oh, that totally makes sense for why this whole process works and why you need to do that. Anyway, get the conditioner on there, pull it out, let it cool, and it'll be like new. It really is like new. You can go to our YouTube page and search our YouTube page for like restoring a rusty Dutch oven. And there's some videos there that kind of go through that process. And you'll see the restored Dutch oven almost looks better than the new Dutch oven. So it, just a little bit of time, and you can do that whole thing in probably, 15, 20 minutes, but most of that time is heating and cooling that Dutch oven. So
that's great, man. I'm gonna work on that this weekend, and I'll take a couple of pictures, give you a little bit of before and after on the deal.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, take some pictures and share them with me, because it's amazing what you can do. You see something, you're like, man, that's a hunk of garbage. The only thing that's good for is an anchor. But then you can bring that thing back to life, and you'll be cooking on it. You'll use it for years.
Well, those photos, J. Paul, would be good to show your buddy too. Look what you did, you moron. You thought it was a piece of garbage, and I turned it into a gem, and I'm using it.
Yeah.
Bam.
The other thing, with cast iron, a lot of people are worried, well, conditioning it is difficult and blah, blah, blah. It's not. It's really super simple. I've been cooking with greasy foods or whatever. You have a steak in there or something. Those oils and things will help just build up a patina on that cast iron. And over time, it's just going to get better and better the more use it gets. I've always said it's kind of like whiskey and women, because it just gets better with age. And that's kind of how that cast iron works. The more and more you use it, it's going to get better. So, people are also concerned about cleaning cast iron. I've never had a problem with, scrubbing it hard, or even using a small dab of soap. People are going to get mad I just said that, but I just use a small dab of soap, and as long as you're not scraping that patina off, you're fine.
Yeah, a lot of times particularly if I'm in the duck blind or something like that, and I want to clean it really good, I'll take a bottle of water and pour some water in it and put it on top of the 3-burner and fire it up, get that water boiling hot inside there, and it'll break up whatever that you really need to get out of there. A little I keep a couple of cast iron brushes. They're stiff bristle plastic brushes, and there's no need to really wash it, or first of all, you've sanitized it when you've boiled it anyway. You don't have to worry about germs or cleanliness or anything like that, because you're firing up, getting it well over 230, 240 degrees, above 210, that boiling point. Scrub that sucker out, set it aside, make sure all the water runs out of it where it doesn't rust. The heat of the cast iron, as it cools, it's also going to cause that water and moisture to evaporate and go away. And, rub a little bit of oil on it, and, man, you're ready to go for the next time.
Yeah, oh, for sure. And heat does, keep in mind, I said one of the great things about cast iron is you can beat it up and take it to camp with you. Cleaning in camp is hard, or cleaning in the duck blind, what are your cleaning tools? It's hard because you're not packing a sink with you.
Right.
So keep in mind, heat will sanitize. So, if you have something banging around your blind bag, a small skillet or something, you can pull that out, rinse it out. Just make sure there's no dirt or nothing in there. And as long as you heat that up, put a little bit of oil in there, you're fine. You'll be just fine, and you'll be good. But yeah, just make sure it's hot, and that'll be totally sanitized, ready to go.
Cool. Hey, Keith, quick question for you. I think you told us the last time you're not a fish person. Is that right?
Not really. You know what? I went out this last snow season, and I went ice fishing twice for the first time with Jason and also Travis over at Backwater Performance. Because Travis is, because he's got everything and about 30 of them. And I enjoyed fishing. I like to eat fish. I just don't fish much, but I'm starting to catch on to it. Growing up in California, racing dirt bikes and cars and all that kind of stuff, we didn't have time to hunt and fish. That wasn't our thing, but I'm slowly working into that, and I'm enjoying it. So.
Well, this is fishing season. That's why I asked, and I wanted one of you guys, if you could, before we go here. I've been spending a lot of time out on the water on the Bay Pro. I caught a bunch of redfish down in Louisiana with the new Bay Pro 230 a couple of weeks ago down below New Orleans, and we just had a full moon, and we've been catching shell crackers like crazy. The brim are spawning right now. Can one of you give me a good outdoor fish recipe before we go?
Go ahead, Ryan.
All right. I'm sitting here thinking, which one? I knew that question was going to get asked. So I'm like, well, there's like 20 different things you can do. And as I'm thinking, let me tell you this. As I'm thinking, you want to know what the common thread is between, there's basically 3 different ways that I thought, well, he's going to ask for a recipe. Which one should I say? And I'm thinking through like a bunch of different things. You know what a common thread is? Wood.
What?
Wood.
Okay.
So I've got 3 different things that you can do. I'm going to say, okay.
Cedar plank salmon, I bet's one of them.
Cedar plank, on a cedar plank, like I mentioned earlier, it's just so good. You can soak that cedar plank in water for 30 minutes to an hour, throw it on the grill, do it in indirect heat, and that fish is going to be phenomenal. It's going to be excellent. Do that with any fish. Most fishes are going to be great. Mm-hmm. Another great option is, smoking. Smoked fish is delicious. It just adds another flavor, super moist, super tender. And that's one of the best things you can do. I think, CampChef makes these pellet grills that make smoking and getting that wood fire flavor just so simple and easy. You turn it to the low temp, like, 200 degrees, and just smoke it for a little while, and until that fish is done and fully cooked. It'll be delicious, no doubt about that. And again, with cooking, don't get too caught up in seasonings or whatever. I think the natural flavors of that fish will really come out as you smoke it. You can use salt and pepper, or like just an all-purpose type seasoning, whatever sounds good to you, and then start exploring with it. The third thing I'm going to say is those 2 first suggestions are something you might want to do on the patio, or back at home, or somewhere where you've got the ability to have a big grill or smoke. The last one is when you're on the river. Out here in the West, I don't do a lot of fly fishing, but I do some fly fishing.
Mm-hmm.
But one of my favorite things is to catch a trout on the fly. and then, as you're on the river or whatever, go back to camp that day and then cook it in the fire. And that is so good. I remember one of the best fish I've ever had. We did it over the fire. So we just cleaned it, gutted the fish, put a stick through it, and then we found some like juniper that was close by. We stuffed it with juniper and some salt and pepper and olive oil that we had in camp, and cooked it over the fire, and it was so good. That flavor just was infused in the fish, and it was delicious. And it's basically very similar to having a smoked fish. A little bit harder to do because you're trying to control the fire and control all this stuff rather than setting a smoker to a certain degree at home. But all of those are phenomenal, and the common tie there, I think, was wood and getting the wood flavor.
That's really cool.
Smoking, yeah.
One thing that's nice about those pellet grills, J. Paul, is we've got them here at work, and I've got one at home. If you just watch the temperature, it's so nice because you don't worry about flare up like your old grill where you're running out there, shoot, it's on fire. And my family, I smoke probably at least 2 to 3 times a week, whether it's burgers. My family favorite is tri-tip. I get that thing to about 130, throw it on the sear box and get a nice crust on the outside. My family loves that. And they're like, Dad, you're doing so much better than when we had that barbecuer, because I would forget about it and run out in the backyard and I've got this flame. And with that pellet grill, you don't have to worry about that. And it just makes everything taste better. It's simple. That's all.
Yeah.
That's what I like about it. It's simple. You can only screw it up by doing too much to it.
That's cool.
I like that. You put that well. You put that pretty well.
Keep it simple, stupid. That's I'm good at the stupid part. So
last month at work, we do our monthly cookout here at Mud Buddy, and that Glenn lets us do, which we appreciate tremendously. We went and bought I think it was 6 or 7 tri-tips and marinated them just really lightly with a little bit of a seasoning on them and a little salt and pepper, and smoked them for about 2.5 to 3 hours. Got the internal temperature about 140 because some people like it rare, some people like it a little more cooked. And when there's 30 of you, you're trying to make everybody happy. But dude, there was nothing left. There wasn't one piece of meat left. It was just gone, and it was simple.
That is awesome. Well,
I was just going to say, I always suggest start out simple.
Yeah.
There's no reason to complicate things. And then once you start exploring stuff, find your own niche, get creative and start doing all this crazy stuff. But start out simple and have fun from there.
Go ahead, Keith.
Oh, I follow this Facebook page. I don't know. It's called the CampChef Grill Owners. And these guys, if you have a question about how to smoke something, it's amazing what they do. And I sit there and look at these posts all day long. It's like, never thought about smoking that. Oh, I didn't know you could smoke that. Hard-boiled eggs, just anything. And if you have a question, you throw that out there on that group. It's all positive. There's no, with most Facebook things, there's a ton of negativity. These guys are all about their grills and how to use stuff and how they've done it. And it's probably one of the best groups I belong to, just as far as.
So Keith, there's that one. And then there's also another one called CampChef Smokers.
Oh, okay. I'll write that.
CampChef Smokers. Look those guys up too, because both of those groups are, it's funny. I see people with random questions that I'm like, oh yeah, as an employee of CampChef, I know all the answers to that. Maybe I'll chime in. And I look at all the comments and I'm like, oh, these guys already got it covered. And it's like, over and over and over. So it's those little forums or those groups are awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to check them both out for sure. Wow. Well, guys, speaking of.
Just a disclaimer, neither of those groups are run. Here at CampChef, we have no control over those.
Right.
Those are just some fan, there's some, the administrators, they just started those pages on their own and started doing them. And now, we know who those administrators are, but we have no, as funny as it is, we have no control or influence for what happens there. Influence, I guess we do, because we're making the products and that kind of thing. But Yeah,
But
we
they're
don't
independent, is
control
what you're saying.
those pitches. Yeah, those are totally independent
Well,
pitches.
what-
So.
One thing I've really noticed about that, Ryan, and it speaks volume about CampChef, the company you work for. When people have a question or an issue, I mean, your guys' customer service ratings got to be off the charts, because everybody who's ever had an issue, when they say, hey, contact CampChef, they get right back on and say, hey, you know what? I called their customer service department. They told me what I needed to do. They sent me the part free of charge. And it's amazing. I mean, to see zero negativity on that one that I follow for CampChef's customer service. You guys are just outstanding at that part of it. And that's why I use CampChef and nobody else.
Yeah. Well,
amen.
we stand behind our products, and we want to make sure that the end user's happy. So,
Well, and they're great products. I mean, everything, that I've got CampChef, and I've got a lot of your products now, they all hold up. These are products that are made to be taken out into the wild. And if you're going to do that, it's got to hold up. And the durability and performance has been great. Unfortunately, now I'm going to have to get a pellet grill, because I don't have one of those. I'm hoping that when we get done recording here in a minute, Ryan, a guy that can hook me up with one, maybe at a little bit of a discount.
Yeah. I'm surprised we haven't talked about this already.
Yeah. One of the cool things about living here in Utah, and CampChef's a local Utah company, is you're driving down the road and you see these CampChef pellet grills hanging off the back of RVs when they're heading out to the mountains, when they're at the back of their trucks. I mean, these people don't just use them at home. If you've got a small portable generator, you're smoking. That's what it is. And it's just funny how many you see running up and down I-15 like I do 100 miles a day. How many smokers you see hanging in the back of a truck or off the back of their RV. It's just crazy.
Yeah, wow, that is cool, I bet. I know it's got to make you proud, Ryan. I mean, it's kind of like for us when we're passing Excel Boat on the road. It's just like, wow, that's really, really cool. Well, guys, we're about out of time here today, but as always, it's been a pleasure to have you, Ryan. I appreciate the tips on cast iron and the recipes. Keith, man, you're the man out there. Thank you for joining us. I'm coming to see you guys very, very soon now also. And Keith, you're going to have to cook for me when I do.
Well, you just got to let me know when you're coming so we can throw something out there.
Well,
love to cook on that pellet grill. It's my best.
Yeah, you're going to have to teach me. By then, hopefully I'll have mine. And you can give me a little bit of instruction.
No problem.
All right, guys. Well, Ryan, thank you very much, Keith. And for all you guys out there listening, hope you enjoyed it today. And thank you for joining us for this edition of the Excel Boats on the X podcast, powered by Mud Buddy Motors.